Oh, this is Godo. Welcome back to Feed the Beast Interactions Remastered. So really quickly, to go over the updates I made since last time, I did in fact update all of our single block machines to IV tier. Let's go, look at this. And there's some machines I didn't upgrade. I didn't upgrade both wire mills. I just put one wire mill and one bending machine here. And also I only put one mixer. This mixer still has special needs over here, so that's why it's off by itself. But this mixer is the one that gets fed by uh, the P2P, and that was the one that's parallel. But right now, I only have one of these because potentially I'm going to be setting up multi-blocks, and the multi-block takes this machine to make it, so I didn't want to make like a whole bunch of extra copies of a machine. But other than that, all the same other machines and all the same other places. There are a couple of machines left in the EV area. They were doing passive processing for tungstate and then for radon, so I just left them up for now. And then the other thing I did not update is the extruders because, with the other machines, I don't want to have a bunch of extra extruders. But you basically need one extruder per each kind of item. So instead of having a bunch of extruders now, I'm going to have probably an extruder multi-block to handle all the extruder recipes we're going to need. So we won't need to make a bajillion extruders going forward. And then I also made a little change to my liquid oxygen setup. So you might remember I had one single output hatch kind of in the middle here. And what would happen is that all of the vacuum freezers would be running at the same time. But while voiding is disabled on these machines, which is like, oh, I just turned on voiding on accident. While you can turn on voiding, the thing that happens is that if the hatch is about to be full, and there's like four things start running at the same time, right? And it's going to be full when three of them finish, but because all of the machines started running at the same time, they're all going to put four tanks of fluid in there, and because it's full, it actually gets voided in that way. So I gave them all their own output hatches, so that's going to prevent them from voiding oxygen because they won't start running if the output hatches are full. And then those output hatches just feed to the transfer node as before. So I made that little tweak over there just not to be running them and voiding a bunch of liquid oxygen for no reason. And then what else did I do over here? I did a little bit of a life essence overflow system here. So we have this fluid interface I added up here. And the fluid interface itself doesn't do anything by itself, but below I have a fluid exporter, and I basically made a little logic card, and I said, hey, when the amount of fluid in the altar is greater than our crafting threshold, go ahead and push some of the fluid into our network via this dual interface. So that's going to be kind of just siphoning off the excess blood production. And we look over here, we can look at our life essence, and we're back up to 4,003 buckets. Hold on one second. This tank, I'm pretty sure, can only hold 4,000, so I don't know why it has 4,300. Oh. Well, first of all, this is not configured with the fluid partitioned on it. Same here, that needs to be partitioned. How many of these are not partitioned? Uh-oh. Antimatter, water. I must not have came over here and partitioned all of these before. These appeared... Oh yeah, that one's partitioned too. It was just like invisible partitioning. Just need to double check all these because I don't want them to get empty somehow and then fill up with some other fluid in some freak accident. I don't know. You never know with these things. Okay, so those are all correct. Now it says we have more than 4,000 buckets, but this tank can only hold 4,000 buckets, and it is set to void mode, correct? It is set to void mode, so I don't know where those extra buckets came from, but I think if I just take a cell, let's take like a tungsten steel cell, and if I pick up and drop the fluid in here, it should just move it to the correct container. Yeah, there we go. Truncated at 4,000, that's where we wanted it to be. We could go down and look at our fluid storage cells down here as well. I actually made some 16K fluid storage cells because even these like hold a ridiculous number of buckets, 125,000 buckets. And we can just look to make sure none of our stuff in here is something that has its own tank. So looking all good down here. We can probably dump the Zephyrium Erothium, to be honest. Epoxy, lubricant, acetone, lava. Okay, yep. None of these things have their own storage tank, so that is to be expected. You know, while we're down here, we can go ahead and defrag our drives. Here we go. It's just quite satisfying to watch the drives slowly fill in, and they're all orange because they're all in the thing. I hope this doesn't start like a crafting job because it detects something that needs level maintaining. Maybe I need to turn off my level maintainers while that's running. But anyways, here we go. We are finishing up the defragging process here. And so we have 20 full drives and then, well, 21 full drives and then a half full drive and then 2 empty ones in here. At this point, we can actually add some more drives because power is a lot less of a concern. So let me just toss these up here. Okay. Yeah, power is much less of a concern. How much is our network using over here? It's using 2,000 EU per tick, but that's also counting the energy injector here. Let me take the energy injector out. Only 1,100 EU per tick? That seems low. This says it's using 2.2 thousand, so I don't know why that's reporting such a low number, but I'm not gonna complain. Maybe this is just miscalculating or showing it incorrectly. But anyways, alright, that's all that I did between episodes. So, also changes. I updated the Modpack to 1.17 of Feed the Beast Interactions Remastered, which had some minor changes. I didn't notice anything super significant, but one thing that did change is that this quartz fiber, this used to require 1,000 liquid glass instead of 144, which 1,000 really seemed like an odd number, so I suspect they were doing that based off of the amount of liquid glass you get when you melt it in like the smeltery, right? So yeah, now when you melt liquid glass in the smeltery, it gives the correct amount, I think, as well. That was another patch thing, but so I went ahead and I fixed the recipe for that in my system, and then also what was changed, quartz glass was also changed for some reason. It needed went from 3 blocks of glass to, sorry, it went from 4 to 3 blocks of liquid glass, which kind of makes sense because you're adding an extra dust in here, right? So that like makes it a total of 3 glass and then 1 Certus quartz to get 4 glass. 3 plus 1 is 4. But before it was just 1 plus 4 is 4. Anyways, so what I wanted to do today. Oh, and then also the deconglomerator recipes. So, disclaimer, what you're about to see here, I've made my own changes to the deconglomerator recipes, but they were basically rebalanced to be like a more, quote, reasonable amount of life essence per operation. So remember before we were running Endstone at like, it was 250 life essence per operation? Well, they basically changed it to 1. So I just put 1. And then I also changed it in the config. Instead of using it per like operation, I changed it to use it per tick. And it's the same like that for all of the recipes. I changed it to use per tick both on power and on the LP. Because like honestly, processing the Infinity Egg for like 512 EU, not per tick, just 512 EU over 20 seconds. That was like a joke, right? So I went ahead and I put it something reasonable. I just put 1 amp of LUV. It's not like super easy or super hard to make at that point. It's just like is something. So, but like before it was almost literally nothing. So yeah, at some point this generator here actually will start to need an upgrade, or we'll need to give it power via other means, which is fine, you know. We have flux points and stuff. And I got stuck on something there. All right. All right, so today I want to start working on 2 things. I want to make more LCRs up here. And I've also decided, just in general, we're going to be pushing the base kind of in this direction, um, like with multi-blocks and stuff. And I feel like I kind of just want to have like probably more of like a lawn style base for these machines. So I'm probably not going to build around them, or at least for now, I'm not planning to build around them like a building and a structure. Since the GregTech option requiring your machine be covered in the rain is disabled, you can put the machines anywhere, they don't blow up. Normally there's an option where if you put them out and it starts raining, they blow up, which is definitely a lot of fun, am I right? But for now, I just want to push this into just have these come out and continue expanding our base. That way we'll have the subfloor under it for wiring and stuff. As far as doing the recipes, so I decided that I'm going to have a total of 6 LCRs to do this. So there's going to be basically for the recipes, I think I discussed before, but when you have an interface, so let me get an interface, let me get a tank of some kind. When you have an interface and you have a tank, and you use in here, use blocking mode, and you say block fluids or block items and fluids, it doesn't really matter. So blocking mode, block items and fluids here. When you have it like this, and then you have like an input bus, I'm just going to put the Steam input bus here. When you have the input bus, and even though you have it blocking fluids, it's still not going to respect the blocking fluids. So it will continue to push fluids into this tank while there are fluids in it already. So, in order to get around that, basically, I'm going to have 5... No, not 5. Yeah, 5. We're going to have 5 LCRs that are set up for recipes that have only fluids in them, and they are only going to be using one specific circuit per LCR. So that means I had to look at all of the recipes that the LCR uses, or I guess the program circuit uses. Where's a program circuit? Here we go. So program circuit, I looked through all of the uses of all of these program circuits. 0 is just like a lack of program circuit, so it obviously has those. In program circuit 1, it has 2 recipes here that require fluid only. And then we also have to look at regular chemical reactor, and it has a lot of recipes here that use fluid only. So 1 is one of our ones that we need to automate, and 0 as well. I guess I can have both of those on our list. 2, there are multiple fluid only LCR recipes, and then there are a bunch of fluid only chemical reactor recipes. So 2 is on the docket. 3 is the same situation, both on LCR and chemical reactor recipes. But 4 is where we kind of actually get a little bit of relief on this. So 4 has 3 recipes in here. This one has an item in it, so we don't need to worry about that. This one has an item in it, so we don't need to worry about that. And this one makes nitrous oxide, which is going to be used for something that we're not going to be making. Just used for high-octane gasoline, which we're not making. So we don't need to worry about 4. And then, yeah, that actually becomes it, because 5 has these mechanism oxygen and hydrogen that we don't care about. 6 doesn't have anything. There's no chemical reactor up here. 7 doesn't have anything. 8 doesn't have anything. 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 does have something. 13 has this recipe with the gassy eggs. But this is an item, so we don't have to worry about that. Anything that has an item, we're going to just use the program circuit card attached to an item input bus. And that will take care of that. Even if it has fluids, the fluids can also come in at the same time, and it's not going to be a problem. 14 also has the gassy egg for carbon dioxide, but we don't need to worry about that. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, Oh, 23 has this recipe, but again, it has an item, so we don't need to do that one. 24 has this recipe. Actually, 24 has a lot of recipes in here because 24 is kind of just like one of the generic large chemical reactors. So we need 24. Did I mark 3? I forgot to mark 3. 3. So anyways, 24, 25, 26, all the way up to 32 do not have any uses. So these are the 5 circuits that we need to have a chemical reactor with only that circuit in it. Then we can have one chemical reactor that has an interface facing an item input bus, and that can change the circuit automatically because any of those recipes will have items in them. And when it has an item in it, it can push into the input bus, which will update the circuit. And it will also block it while that item is in there. So we don't have to worry about fluid conflicts because it can only push one thing at a time in there. So yeah, we are going to be going ahead and updating all of our stuff. We already have a 24 reactor in here, but I kind of want to, since we're going to be having a bunch of these, I kind of want to remake these and make their, what's it called? Make it be a little bit more standardized. How's our input hatch, by the way? Energy hatch. I want to probably also go ahead and make them be LEV power, just so that we can go full insanity on them. So for all of them, I'm going to want to have, we're going to have a total of 6 of them, right? And what kind of hatches do they have right now? This one has a IV energy hatch, and this one has 2 IV energy hatches. So we have 3 out of 12 hatches, so we need to make 9 energy hatches. And all of this stuff should now be automated and doable with all of our machines over there. And these machines are quite a bit faster than what we had before with the HV machines. For non-IV recipes that were like HV or below, they will be going 4 times faster now, which is nice. Like, look how fast the sodium potassium is going. Though after we're done with this setup, we are not going to need this chemical reactor setup here at all because that's all going to be in the large chemical reactor setups. And those get free overclocks, so those are going to be ridiculously fast. Alright, so it's just mixing some stuff it needs. I think it needs to do the HPIC wafer as well. So that's probably going to take a second. PIC wafer, yeah, it needs to make 9 HPIC wafers. I think it's the vanadium gallium. It needs liquid vanadium gallium for that. So I don't want to take this apart. It needs it, like, imminently for crafting these. So I'm just going to come back once these finish crafting up. Also, we can come down here to look at our EBFs, and we can see this is currently cooking iridium, I believe. And it's going pretty decent speed over here. It's going 18 seconds per iridium, so 9 seconds per ingot with both of them. Pretty nice speed. And our vacuum freezer is also going quite quickly, 3 seconds per iridium ingot. So those will be done with the iridium ingot shortly. How's our power looking? I mean, our power is looking like just fine at the moment. It's currently in the off state. So this is the loopback power connector that I have over here. And this is the just our total output here. So our total output's around 70, 80,000 EU per tick. Not too bad because when this actually runs, it makes 130,000. So we're like, even if we were capping it out, we would still be overproducing our energy needs. So very nice on the power. Love not having power be like a constant issue. But yeah, while this finishes crafting up, I'm going to just pause and we'll be back once it's at least done with the chemical reactor stuff. I kind of wish it did the vanadium gallium ingots first so that I can, go do the chemical reactor steps, but that's how it is, so I'm stuck here waiting until that's done. Alright, finally it's done with the iridium. Now it's doing the vanadium gallium. How long are those taking? 10 seconds each, and then how long in the vacuum freezer? 1 second. And then because of that, so those are taking about 6 seconds each to run. Those won't take too long. And the HPIC wafers themselves, because this is scaled up to LUV power, they used to take a minute, now they take 15 seconds, so that's pretty nice. I think our bottleneck in the processing speed is still our this here cutting machine. It is 45 seconds for each of those wafers, so um another thing you probably saw up there, there was like a box up there. I've been trying to do, like, we have a ton of ores to process down here that I've just been running, and I slightly overloaded the input chest, so things got a little bit jammed up, but I've been what's it called? I actually took a bunch of the centrifuge crushed ore and I threw it up here into our macerator up here, so that this can also help with our ore processing needs. And then I also went and titanium ore. So you can't actually get titanium ore, but for some reason in this vein, it's called a rutile vein, they put dense titanium ore instead of regular titanium ore. I don't really understand the logic behind that, but I got a bunch of dense titanium ore because I mined out a vein. This is like half of it. So now we have a bajillion titanium dust. Okay, see all this? Titanium dust, 30,000? Yeah. Which we can just cook directly into titanium without needing our rutile process over here. So I might decommission the setup over here, and we can use rutile for other things. We can turn it into titanium tetrachloride, which we can then use to make a... not that step, but we can use to make a couple of plastics more efficiently. So we can use that to make polyvinyl acetate more efficiently, as well as PVC if we do this, if we do that recipe, and then polyethylene, and then polytetrafluoroethylene as well. So we can make all of those more efficiently with rutile instead of turning it into titanium, which we do not need. So, like, we have 5,000 ingots and 30,000 dust. What do you want? We don't have any rutile currently because I processed it all before making that decision. But as of now, if any more comes in our system, it's not in that interface, so we'll not take it away. Alright, how's our wafers doing? Okay, the wafers are done, so I'm actually going to go ahead and take apart those chemical reactors and start rebuilding them. Oh, I guess I should probably make the actual chemical reactors too. Also, what's going on with our plates? Oh, I have not reset this since I rebooted the server after doing our version upgrade. So there we go. We can see how fast these are just making wires. And I don't know what that's making, but it's taking longer, so... Oh, that's making the actual energy hatches. Okay. Yeah, they were all stuck because of the P2P being a little broken. And that's making an IV machine casing. Alright, so while that's running, we have 4, so we have 2, so we need 4 more. Let me take the LCR set pattern, and I'm going to... where is it? Right here. I'm going to take the energy hatch out, and I'm also going to take out some of these inert casings. Let's just take out 3 of them. And I'm also going to take out... frankly, I'm going to just take out like all of the hatches, so... Let me just take out all of the hatches, because we don't know how many of these are going to need. Well, I'll put the hatches in once I've kind of built around and know what they need. So let's get 4 LCR sets now. LCR. 4 of those, please. Processor assembly. Large chemical reactor pattern. For some reason, even though this is set to allow substitutions, it's not allowing substitutions for the circuit sometimes. So are those quantum? No, quantum is EV. What's the one before quantum? Nano? Yeah, here we go. Nano processors. So can you just like redo this, but with nano? Apparently not. Okay, so I'm just going to manually put this one in. I mean, here, just go ahead and craft one really quick. We're going to need 3 of them anyways. This should craft pretty quickly in the IV circuit assembler. Yeah, 5 seconds for 2 HV circuits. To what do we owe this pleasure? Alright, there we go. Updated that, and now we should be able to request our LCR sets. 4 of those, please. And this should just be, like, wicked fast compared to what we've been seeing before. I guess except for whatever needs to go through the extruder. Extruder's still gonna be slow, but... yeah, look at those wires just popping out. Isn't this just like a beautiful sight? Look at that. I don't even know what it's like putting in here. The PTFE casings, I guess. It's like so fast. It's like, please, why are you so fast? What else is it doing, though? Oh, nano CPU wafers. Those are going to take a minute. Let me grab my IV battery, put it in our cutting mill, and give this guy a boost. Oh, I guess I didn't need that much of a boost. Alright, circuits are assembling in the last energy hatch. Alright, and why is our LCR not done? What's going on here? Something wrong with the lathe? Where's our lathe? Actually, hold on. What would be even making those right here? So it needs these. Those would be extruder or lathe. Do we not have polytetrafluoroethylene bars from somewhere? Yeah, I guess what would be making those? Polytetrafluoroethylene bar. Where do those get made? Do I have an ingot extruder over here somewhere? Oh. Whoops. This is supposed to be large pipe. Oh no, that one's fine. No, this one's fine too. I'm confused here. What is the issue? Extrude ingot, polytetrafluoroethylene bar with a pulp. Okay, I'm not quite sure what the issue is. Oh, hang on, here we go. Polytetrafluoroethylene pulp, because the macerator is busy. That's my bad. I just pull that out for a second. It's just gonna shove all of that pulp in there really quick. Okay. Totally forgot the macerator would be involved in that process, like even a little bit. But yeah, there we goes. Making some large pipes. Probably already did the ingots it needed. Okay. Crisis averted. Alright. I don't need these in my inventory. Okay. Large... No, not large chemical reactor. We need our IV energy hatches. I'll grab those. I will grab our chemical reactor things. And then, yeah, let's... Oh, and I'm going to need some input buses, input hatches. Quad input hatches is what I'm going to be using. So we have some quad output hatches. We're going to need quad output hatches too, but I'm actually thinking potentially to use output... What are they called? No, it should be fine with regular quad output hatches. So I'm going to want 6 quad output hatches. What do we have currently down here? Do we have quad output hatches on these already? Those are hooked up to the fluids. Hold on. We have a non-nupal output hatch. I think I want every machine to have its own output hatch because I don't want to have a situation like this where somehow stuff accidentally voids itself because too many things try to go in the hatch at the same time. So I'm just going to make a set of quadruple output hatches. How do we make these? But how do we make them, though? So, well, I guess let me look in here and see what we're making. Quadruple. We're making the input hatches. Okay, so let me make 4 output hatches, and then I'll make 6 input hatches. Because the output hatches are just made by using a screwdriver on the input hatch. Just a beautiful sight of machines running in parallel, you know what I mean? Alright, and then do we need our chemical reactors at this point? I will also need an input bus, but there should be an input bus. I will need a circuit card. Actually, everything I need should already be up here with this guy. What is this doing? Oh, these are doing the hatches, okay. I didn't realize so much went into those hatches. I mean, I automated it like several episodes ago, so maybe I did realize it. I just forgot. Okay, let's go ahead and destroy our chemical reactors and rebuild them. So, bloop. Okay, and I also want to be careful when I vein mine this, because vein mining GregTech components can sometimes cascade in unexpected ways. So I'm just double checking to see there's no unexpected connections down here. I don't want to like vein mine my multi-smelter or anything. Yeah, this should be okay. So you see I'm mining the input bus right here, but it actually took out like a ton of other stuff with it. It took out the controller, it took out the input hatches, output hatches, etc. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take these out. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take all of these recipes out, because we're gonna need to move the recipes around based on what kind of recipes they are. Let me just grab a quick chest. So go ahead, toss all of these in here, get the rest of those. Okay, and we're also going to be taking these recipes as well. Take all of these, because these are also going to be going in those large chemical reactors, and then this machine's not going to have any need after that. Well, I guess I should have just had a larger chest, huh? Don't take that out of context, please. Anyways, get my crescent hammer back. All right, so let's go ahead and start doing this construction here. So for every chemical reactor, I'm also going to need power lines for this, huh? I guess if we have 9 energy hatches, 12 energy hatches, we're going to need 24 amps of IV, huh? Stellar alloy cables. Oh shoot, I already took apart the Can we make these without with stuff we already have? Stellar alloy wire. Let me just make some of these. Stellar alloy cables, though, they take 12 amps, and since we need 24 amps, that would be perfect to just have one pair going one way and one pair going the other way. So let's just make a handful of those cables really quick. Alright, these aren't used for anything, right? I don't feel like it, because this is a custom cable added by the Modpack, so just go ahead and turn all of those into cables. Alright, so let's take apart this setup very carefully. Alright, I'm gonna just grab another chest really quick. Chest. Alright, so large chemical reactors, I'm going to go ahead and have them continue this pattern where they share a coil and then they don't share a coil. So let's go ahead and put the coils and the non-coils first. So every pipe casing is a chemical reactor, so we need to add 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there should be 6 pipe casings. Yep, that looks correct. Gonna go ahead and bash out the floor here under these guys. We're gonna use a slightly more sophisticated tool for this. Yep, this is fine. We will be expanding our basement in this way eventually, but I'll go ahead and do it now. Okay. And then let me just put a dirt block here, and then hit it with the drill that direction and that direction. Alright. There we go. Got our... Got our floor semi-opened up there. We can go ahead and put all the controllers down. So they go on the pipe casings. Alright, there's our controllers. Now for each one of these, we're going to want it to have an... Do we need them to have item and input outputs? Hang on one second. Let me look through the recipes really quick. I need to answer the question of, do any fluid-only recipes have item outputs? And if so, which ones? So I'm going to browse through recipes. I won't bore you with this, so be back in a moment once I've done that. Okay, I did find one item here for plutonium dioxide plus hydrochloric acid to make plutonium tetrafluoride dust. But that's used to make hexafluoride gas, and that doesn't have a use. Well, okay, disclaimer, it does have a use, but I actually disabled the use because the machine is broken. So it's basically a, what's it called? It was one of these guys, right? One of these photo fission nuclear reactors. There were 2 of these. There was one called the 0-point fission chamber, but it was like broken. It just like made a loop where it made more gas than you put into it, so it would produce the gas for itself when you run it, and then like also it made like no power. So I was like, well, this seems like it's janky. So I didn't really want to worry about balancing that one myself, so I just left it. So what was that under program circuit 2? Yeah, okay, so continuing my review of program circuit 1. Okay, here's one that I found. I think that was the only one, but I took a quick look at this one. So oxygen plus benzene to make biphenyl dust, and then that's used to make something called polychlorinated biphenyl, and that is used to make dielectric PCB coolant, which is used to make these things, which I don't really know what they are, but I do believe we need them in this mod pack. So I'm just going to plan that we need that in our circuit 1. We need an output bus on circuit 1. That was circuit 1, right? Yes, circuit 1. Okay. And then now I need to look at the chemical reactor recipes that don't have any circuit. That's gonna suck. Be right back while I finish looking at these. Here's one, and honestly, that's good enough for me. I'm not gonna go through and scroll through all of them. So we need an output bus on our chemical reactor 1 and 0. So honestly, that's fine. We can just plan for that. Okay, so 1 and 0. Let's go ahead and, because we knew both of those need an output bus, we can do both of those next to each other. How about I don't get too crazy? Let's just kind of build our, what is going to be our kind of standard setup here. So let me go ahead and grab our quad hatches. Looks like I made too many input hatches because we already had 2 over there. My bad. We need input bus. We only need 1 input bus. I'd like to make a bigger input bus. Let's do an MV input bus, because an MV input bus has 9 slots, and 9 slots should be sufficient to avoid any kind of item voiding or overlap. I could do a bigger input bus, but there's like, I don't feel like there's a need. Like, these aren't used for anything. These might be used for something. All right, I'll do an EV input bus, I guess, sure. So, oh, and I already have the aluminum crate automated, so yeah, this will be fine. Okay, let's do this one, and then we needed, what was that? 72 millibuckets of polybenzimidazole? Polybenz... Wait, hang on. I don't have polybenzimidazole. We need 432 PTFE. 432. Okay. And then that goes into our assembler P2P. Okay. And then input bus. So we only need that on one of, oh yeah, aluminum crate, right? Aluminum crate. We should have all of these things to make the aluminum crate, so. All right. Input bus. Geez, that's fast, right? Except this step is slow because it's like, oh, you got an EV item up in here. Well, buddy. And then output bus. I think regular output bus will be fine. Why did I? You know what? We don't need that. Actually, no. I'm gonna. Okay. Input bus, output bus. I will take that for one reason that I will show you later. But let's go ahead and put this together first. All right, so power, we do not want it to be shared between these multi-blocks, so we're going to do our power first. And we are going to do something like, let's just do power in the front. Yikes, okay. So power in the front, and then in the middle, we're going to have our flux point with the LCRs hooked up to it. But first we want to hook up the cables, so let's go ahead and hook up the cables. Stellar alloy cables. Hopefully 30 stellar alloy cables is enough for this. Yeah, that should be plenty. Alright, so go ahead and hook these guys up. Put this tool away before it causes a catastrophe. Got like a little jingle going on here. Alright, so there's our power lines. And this should not blow anything up. Okay, and we're just going to call this LCRs. That is taking a lot of power right now. Okay. All right, so there we go. LCR's power is all done. So these are shared blocks in the middle. I don't think I want to have like any inputs kind of going between the shared blocks, so I'm just going to fill those in. And honestly, we are probably not going to want to share anything between these multi-blocks. I think they're all going to want to have their own output. So let me just go ahead and fill in the entire shared section, the shared slices. The block sharing is like not a major deal because these blocks I'm using are not like super duper expensive or anything. But it's more of like to save space, you know? Because this chemical reactor, you know, it's only using technically it's using 3 spaces, right? But then it makes this one using 2. So between all of these chemical reactors, they are all only using like 1 in a way. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's 13 slices from 6 chemical reactors. That's just a little over 2 per chemical reactor. So that's 2 per chemical reactor and then 1 extra one. So it just saves space, you know? So, all right, there's our chemical reactor slices. Now, I'm probably not going to have anything up on the front. I want to do all of the wiring kind of in the back. All right, so that means, oh, maybe I will need to have some stuff in the front and back because now I'm looking at this and it's like, we don't actually have room to do for an input bus and output bus on it, everything, and input hatch, output hatch. So we will in fact need a way to get the fluids out of all of these fluids and items rather. I'm just thinking we're not going to be making a ton of items in these, so it would probably be okay if they share output buses. So let me go ahead and make 3 more output buses, and then they can share output buses. Just mentally walking through if I actually want to do that. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Output bus. I could also use ME output buses, but the problem with those is that each of them use up a channel, and then they're also like a little bit slow. Like it takes the item like a tick, or not a tick, it takes a second to get into the network because it only pulls out the items every second, so not entirely ideal if I'm being honest. Alright, so why did I make output buses? Oh, output bus is what I wanted. Never mind. Okay, so output buses are going to go in these shared slices. And I know we don't need them for all of them. I think we can just do these two, right? Because I decided only our item-related one, and then 1 and 2 need it. So we can make this like item, 0, and 1. Not 1 and 2, 0 and 1. Okay, so those are going to be the item outputs. Let's do our inputs. So our item-related one is going to be right here. EV input bus. Kind of want to move this setup somewhere else. Sorry, just scooting this stuff into a chest for now. Okay. I'll move that somewhere else at some point. I don't know why that pickaxe takes forever to mine. Alright, so that's going to be the item input for this guy here. Now we're going to need the fluid inputs for these fluid-only crafters. Something did just occur to me. We still need a what's it called? An item input bus on these fluid ones because I need to put a circuit in them, right? So, it's not really a big deal. Okay, so you don't need one because you're going to be 0. Yours is going to be the item-related one, so you need 1, 2, 3, 4 input buses. Input bus. Grab 4 of these really quick. I could make ULV input buses, but like these are whatever. If anything, I feel like tin might be cheaper than red alloy wires, so. All right, get our input buses. So we have circuit 1, 2, 3, and 24. All right, so let's go ahead and put those in here. So 24, 3, 2, why am I scrolling the opposite direction, and 1. Okay, so those are our input hatches for there. Input buses. I'm not gonna have, don't think I'm gonna have any outputs on those. I'm gonna make this output bus bigger, the one that's shared with the item one, just in case like a lot of items are processing or something. So let me go ahead and make an input bus of this guy. And then I'm just going to convert it to an output bus. So we can do this recipe to convert it to an output bus as soon as that finishes, which takes 8 seconds. There we go. All right, there's our output bus. And then I'm going to put all of the output hatches above the main input of each machine. So far, so good, yes. And then I want to move the items into the into like an output interface, but I want it to be something that's efficient and fast. So I'm thinking what to use actually will be P2P tunnels, because P2P tunnels transfer instantly. So for this, we would need 8 channels, which is perfect. Wait, no, we would need 9 channels. Shoot. I guess I can do two different sets of channels. That's not a big deal. It's just not gonna look so nice with this side being asymmetrical. So let me go ahead and 8, and then we're gonna need a couple of outputs. So let me just make like 10 or 12 P2Ps. Yeah, let's do. Oh, we have 11 already. Make one more of those really quick, please. All right. Okay, so we have 11 P2Ps. And then for the fluid ones, you need to right-click them with like a pipe of some kind or like a cell. Yeah, there we go. Cell. So these are all fluid, and then for the item one, you need to hit them with some kind of inventory. Or a chest, maybe? Yeah, there we go. Chest. Alright, so we need to just connect those up to an interface somewhere to dump the items into. Alright, so let's set up our interfaces now. I'm gonna go underneath for this. We don't need any more blocks up here, right? I think I can go ahead and close these off. Right, there we go. All of our reactors should say structure formed. Nice. Okay, let me wrench down my input so I can see them. I'm using the wrong wrench. Okay, so this is our item-based one. So our item-based one is in a terrible position. Oh, what am I doing? I didn't put a fluid fluid input bus on this one either. So this one still needs the fluid input. It's just going to be, let me just stick it up here. And in order to link that up, I'm going to use something called a fluid phantom face. Phantom, which I already have, nice. And that basically just makes a proxy. I think I actually set it up right down here for the EBFs. Yeah, I showed this off like an episode ago. So we're going to use this to get our fluid into the input hatch. Okay, but there's a different problem here, is that my main, this line right here is my, like, P2P line. And it's kind of in the way right here, if I'm being honest. I can't put an interface up there that's going to be touching both the phantom face and the, not phantom face. Let me just, do some wiring spaghetti here. So I'm just going to bring it over this way. Alright, I mean, it's not the best look, but it does open up that block, which I needed, so. Okay. And then probably just because I shifted a bunch of channels, now I'm just going to hit a reset on this dude. Alright. So let's do our interfaces now. You are going to be our special interface that uses a card. Let me go ahead and grab this interface right here from this chemical reactor. And then this interface, we're not going to need it anymore, so I'm just going to grab that one. That was a dual interface. We will need a dual interface for collecting our outputs, but we will not need them for actually outputting. And let me get some more interfaces. I don't need 19 of them, but sure, I guess. All right, so this interface is going to be hooked up with... First of all, we're going to call this... let me get my quartz knife. We're going to call this LCR item slash circuit. Item plus circuit. So it can do anything that has an item and circuits in it. And we're going to do our phantom face right here. Let me get my phantom linker. Phantom connector, whatever. So connect this guy. And then connect it there. All right. So now it can see that tank, and if fluids are pushed, it's going to push it into that liquid face, which is going to go up there. Okay, you need to be a blocking mode and block all, but it's really only going to block the items, so that just is how it is. And then we're going to be having a lot of recipes in this one, so we'll just go ahead and put the expansion card in there. And if we need to have more cards in here, more chemical reactors, I'm going to cry. So hopefully we don't need that many chemical reactor recipes. We will see, we will see. All right, the rest of these are going to be regular interfaces, and I'm going to wrench them upwards so that they're only pointing at the input hatch because they're only going to be sending out fluids. So let me use a proper wrench. And then play the which way do you wrench it game. There we go. So this is going to be LCR fluid only circuit 0. LCR fluid only circuit 1. LCR fluid only circuit... Why don't I use a freaking copy paste? Circuit 2. Circuit 3. And then circuit 24. Right? 24, 3, 2, 1, and then none. Okay? Perfect. Alright. And then as far as the channels for these guys go, how many do we have up here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 channels, and then we're going to need our output LCR. Or our output... Our LCR that gets the outputs, right? So we're going to need, like, a total of 7 channels right here. So let's get some dense cables and run it next to our P2P channel right here. This is not the best organization of cables, but I am bad, so it's okay. All right, and where's my chisel? All right, so those should not be connected, and now... Oh, I need another one. Because I want it to come here and then branch off. Chisel to red. And then these can probably just go back to Fluix. Of course, I would have another one to chisel immediately after I say that. Alright, so gonna hook these guys up now. So that should be 7 channels coming up right here. Or 6. 6? 6 channels. Okay, and then... And then I'm thinking about something. Okay, well, don't think too hard, me. We need to hook these up, but there's 8 up here. So the problem is, if we hook these up and these are all using a channel, we also need 2 outputs. We need an item output and a fluid output. So that makes it be 10 channels in total that we would need. Unless, it's gonna look kind of ugly. Okay, so I'm going to have my, here's what I'll do. I'll just have an extra, I'll just have items go separately. This is gonna look a little whack, but I think it's gonna work. So items, let's get some Fluix cables and color them. Fluix cable, smart, not fluid, smart. Let me just get smart cables. There we go. Let's get some. What's a color for items? Brown is a color for items, sure. And then what's a color for fluids? Like obviously blue, I guess so. How about cyan? We haven't used too many cyan cables yet. Okay, so let's run our item cable network like this. And our interface where we're going to output our items to are going to be right there. And this is going to need to be a P2P. So that's going to be a total of 3 channels on that subnetwork. Then on this subnetwork, we're just going to do 2 different outputs on that. So this one needs to be a chest because you're an item tunnel, and these 2 need to be fluid because you are going to be fluid tunnels. Okay, and then for this one, we are going to run the cyan across here. Though now this is going to look like this on this side, so maybe I should just make it look like that on both sides. How about I do that? Because it looks kind of dumb otherwise. There we go. All right. I mean, it's looking pretty cool. And now, in order to get power to these, I'm going to take a... what are they called? I'm going to take a quartz cable, and I'm just going to hook them up to power. I'm looking for my terminal. Quartz fiber. And we can hook them up like this, right? Yes, okay. So the brown network is connected. And then we need to hook up the cyan network. I'm thinking what's going to look the least janky. There's a cable that's under here, right? No, how about I put a cable right here, and I put that there, and then I'll just put a facade on that one. And then, yep, that's connected. Okay, so all of these should be online. They're all using 4 of 8 channels, which is what we want to see. This one's using 3, and this one's using 4. So yeah, we have 4 plus 4 plus 3. So that's a total of 11 channels. And let me get a facade. And toss that right there. Okay. Doesn't look too awful. The WMW is what we're going to call this, I guess. All right, and then, oh yeah, let's actually configure the, let's configure our P2Ps while I'm back here. So we're going to do, you are a input, and you are going to be the output. And then we need to make these 2 other outputs, so boom and boom. So this should have output sides 0503. And this should have 3 inputs. Okay, that is exactly what we want to see. Can I just do that on this side too? I mean, I don't see why not. Like the same ID for both networks. Can I do that here? Oh no, that changed what kind of P2P that was. Okay, let's not do that. This one still only sees 3 inputs. Will this one also see 3 inputs and 1 output? So 3 inputs, 1 output, 1 output, 1 output. I mean, okay. That seems to work. Now for this one, I'm going to copy this one and paste it there. So that is an item output, 179D, and then we are going to also paste it there. So these should both be 179D as an input side, and then they should have an output side over there. 2 inputs, perfect. Okay, cool. That's all set up. And those should be instantaneous. Like, it should basically teleport the fluid from the output hatch into the interface, and then the interface will put it away. We don't need to show this on the terminal because that's just for receiving the outputs. All right, I think this is all set and ready to go. We can start like putting recipes in it and stuff. So let's go get our recipes and see where they belong. And then that's not where we're going to end things. We are definitely going to be doing more. Isn't there like a wireless pattern terminal as well? Yeah, I'm going to make me one of these really quick, but it needs a dense energy cell. Yuck. It also needs a fluid pattern terminal. Yuck again. Okay. Kind of wanted to avoid running these patterns back and forth, but is what it is. I mean, we can put them in at our terminal there, so. Okay, first of all, we know we're just going to have to look at these one by one. So this one is an item, so it goes in the item one. Item. This is a fluid too. So we are going to leave that there. Let me put these in LCR. Item plus circuit. So item. I mean, I guess I can look to see if it has an item in it. Sodium hydroxide. I think that one might be a circuit one, so we're gonna have to look at it. That one is a circuit one. Qubit wafer does not use a circuit. I meant it's an item one. Okay. So this one, we're gonna take out the program circuit, reprogram it, and then we're gonna put that into LCR2, LCR-C2, fluid only C2. Okay. Now what was this one here? Epoxy resin. So this one is a circuit one. So we need circuit 24 in here. So circuit 24. And that's going to go into our LCR item. So that's what this process is going to look like. I'm probably just going to do it off camera because you already saw me do it twice. So I can go ahead and take all of these because I know they're all items. But the rest of these I'm going to have to like look at them one at a time and see if they use a circuit and what circuit they use if they do. So I'll do it off camera and then I will come back once I am all done with all of that. So be back in a bit.